Good afternoon, Chairman McClintock, Ranking Member Japal, and distinguished members of the committee. It is an honor to be here. I thank you for the invitation to share my testimony. My goal is to inspire action to Ranking Member Japal and distinguished members of the committee. It is an honor to be here. I thank you for the invitation to share my testimony. My goal is to inspire action to safeguard the lives of migrant children, including the staggering 85,000 that are missing. Today, children will work overnight shifts at slaughterhouses, factories, restaurants to pay their debts to smugglers and traffickers. Today, children will be sold for sex. Today, children will call a hotline to report they are being abused, neglected, and trafficked, and we don't know if they're going to get the help they need. For nearly a decade, unaccompanied children have been suffering in the shadows, and I have to confess I knew nothing about their suffering until 2021 when I volunteered to help the Biden administration with the crisis at the southern border. As part of Operation Artemis, I was deployed to the Pomona Fairplex Emergency Intake Site in California to help HHS, Office of Refugee Resettlement, reunite children with sponsors in the United States. I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the US border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations. Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking. Now, whether it's intentional or not, it could be argued that the United States government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off of the lives of children. As for me, my interest is the safety of the children. I do not view this as a political issue. I view this as a humanitarian issue. I assure you, my motives are the highest and best. I want the children protected. So I want to tell you some of what I witnessed personally at the Pomona Fairplex. I saw vulnerable indigenous children from Guatemala who speak Mayan dialects and cannot speak Spanish. That means they cannot ask for help in English. They cannot ask for help in Spanish. They become captives of their sponsors. I have sat with case managers as they've cried to tell me the horror of what has happened to children as they make the journey to this country. I saw apartment buildings where 20, 30, and 40 unaccompanied minors have been released. I saw sponsors trying to simultaneously sponsor children from multiple ORR sites at one time. I saw sponsors using multiple addresses to obtain sponsorships of children. And I saw numerous cases of children in debt bondage, and the child knew they had to stay with the sponsor until the debt was paid. Realizing that we were not offering the children the American dream, but instead putting them in modern-day slavery with wicked overlords was a terrible revelation. A terrible revelation. These children are a captive victim population with no access to law enforcement or knowledge of their rights. They are extorted, abused, neglected. And that is why I blew the whistle in 2021.
The story Pinocchio is about child sex, trafficking, kidnapping little boys, and taking them to Pleasure Island.
How would you blokes like to make some real money? Well, and who do we have to, No, nothing like that. You see, I'm connecting stupid little boys. Stupid little boys? You know, the disobedient ones what play hooky from school. Oh, and you see, yes. and I takes them to Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island? But the law, suppose they... No, there's no risk. They never come back as boys.
Of the International Justice Tribunal has been to expose what is really going on with the child trafficking. Could you explain what is the relationship, here's my question, between the child trafficking, adrenochrome manufacture, and how this is used to blackmail and to control, Wall Street and also politics?
And judges. Let me start by giving the president very high marks. He did 2 executive orders, one in December 2017, one in January 2020, that are hugely significant on human trafficking. Human trafficking, and particularly child trafficking, underlies every other great crime in this country. Children are now more valuable than drugs for criminal transactions. As best I can tell, toward 8 million children a year are being abducted.
How many?
And 8 million. Toward 8 million children a year. In the United States, it's 800,000 to 1 million.
Wow.
All right. This is very serious stuff. And part of the problem is that wars create refugees. And if you look at Hillary Clinton, for example, the Haitian disaster, her friends were in there scooping up children.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Say that.
This is a matter of record.
It is the WikiLeaks bombshell that we've been waiting for. A convicted child abductor caught stealing children in Haiti with the Clintons. As we've reported here over the past 48 hours, details have emerged from the FBI's reopened investigation into Hillary's emails that were found on Anthony Weiner's laptop, that serious additional crimes were also under investigation that were unrelated to the email server case, involving, among other things, child trafficking. Now, WikiLeaks has just released perhaps the biggest bombshell yet, now spreading like wildfire across the web, revealing emails showing how the Clintons supported child stealer Laura Silsby. Now, there was also an email where they were actually pricing how much it costs to transport the children. The evidence is there to prove the Clintons are tied to child abduction. This is no joke. Here is a picture of the child snatcher herself in prison. Pretty soon we should hope to see Hillary Clinton standing in a cell similar to that.
It's an evil world we live in. We're living in a very, very evil, wicked, sadistic world where children are not safe. Nobody is safe. The people that are supposed to be protecting children are the ones abusing them. It's like CPS and all these organizations that are set up, right? Red Cross, whatever organizations that are set up, the UN, a lot of times they've been caught trafficking children, right? So who to trust? Who do you trust? They had that whole slogan a couple of years back, building back trust. Because they know that the trust the people have for the government is in shambles. How could you trust them, right? Look at what they do. They have their hands stuck in the cookie jar. And in this regard is your children, right? Trafficking children is being linked to Adreno, Google Chrome, right? If you understand, it's been tied to that. The whole bloodthirsty vampirism of children, right? They showed you that in the Welcome to Derry, right? Even the children themselves are talking about it. If you saw the series, they're talking about how Pennywise liked to terrify children before he cannibalized them and drink their blood or whatever, because it gets him going, right? Even in the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, they showed you that. So this is very serious stuff, like you had this individual talking about, where we have millions and millions and millions of children go missing worldwide, all the time. All the time. That is insane to me. Very insane, right? Very insane. And where do these children go missing? Go figure. They set up all these islands, these pleasure islands all throughout the earth where they carry out all these sadistic, perverse, lascivious, inordinate affections on all these islands, and it includes children and what they do to them, right? And all kinds of things you wouldn't even begin to imagine has been done, right? And this is where we are. It is sad, but it's effed up, seriously effed up, that we have to deal with this level of corruption, that we have to deal with this level of evil, and it's being done by the same ones that are supposed to be taking care of these things. That's why the clip you saw is making the connection between this child sex trafficking and how they use these things to incriminate your lawyers, your judges, your people in high standards of society, right? Your politicians, things like that. They use it to incriminate them. It is crazy, man. The rabbit hole goes very deep. Before we go any further, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rucha HaKodash. Double honors to apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continue to teach us this truth. Peace, salutation, shalom, shalom, shalom. To all your brothers and sisters out there that are of the household of faith, beginning with 144,000, down to the men, women, and children that are allotted to be delivered in these latter days, who are all of the elect, and to the brothers that are pushing this gospel in all sincerity and in all honesty, to you all I say shalom. All right, back to this here.
Her name is Laura Silsby. She's right there on the far right, and she runs the, quote, it's called the New Life Children's Refuge. It's a nonprofit. She was caught trying to steal 33 children from Haiti back in 2010.
That number 33 is always, if you know anything about free Masonic lodges and the Masonic rites and things like that, 33 is a very huge number to them. Very, very huge number to them. So all this is tied back into witchcraft and ritualistic satanic practices and things like that, right? It all goes back to that. It's not just people being perverse just to be perverse. A lot of the time, it goes back to ritualistic practices that they do, which includes the perversions and the sexual abuse and the blood drinking and all of that, right?
And most of them were not orphans and still had families. Now, Hillary has a long relationship with Ms. Silsby. WikiLeaks emails date all the way back to 2001 and show that she discussed fundraising for Silsby's group. Now, the Harvard Human Rights Journal revealed that one of Bill Clinton's first tasks in Haiti following the earthquake was to, quote, put out the fire of the child abduction scandal involving American citizens. The journal states, quote, the missionaries were charged with child kidnapping and criminal association. They write that President Clinton brokered the release of all the missionaries except for the group leader, Laura Silsby. And guess who represented Silsby in court? The convicted child kidnapper, George Puelo Torres. He was the lawyer on counsel to get the missionaries involved in the child trafficking off the hook. Now, the same group.
You see how crazy it is, right? That is why the whole system is corrupt. It is seriously corrupt, right? Because they are all in on it. That's why you're never gonna have them being locked up. You're never gonna have them facing charges and things like that, being brought up on charges, and that is never gonna happen. Why? Because they're all in on it, right? They protect one another, just like George Carlin said before he died. Is a big club and you're not in it. So them in this club, they know what they're about. They know how to get down. They know that these children that are being trafficked is for them. It's for their club. It's for what they stand for, right? Which is their satanic Illuminati type things, right? They are ritualistic practices to just be these degenerates. You see?
Known as the New Life Children's Refuge, was caught emailing Hillary's campaign multiple times. Now, in Clinton email 3741, remember that, write it down, Clinton email 3741, they actually list the cost to transport a child.
Now let me go back to the whole thing of child sacrifice, adrenochrome, and so forth. I didn't believe it myself, but Pizzagate woke me up. Is it Pizzagate or Comet Pizza, all of that. That woke me up, and I started looking into it, and I connected with an author, a West Point graduate. That's our Sandhurst, I guess. A West Point graduate, Joaquim Hagopian. And with my encouragement, he has written a book to which I wrote the foreword called, and this is free online. Everything I do is free online because my whole point is to try and raise public awareness and so forth.
Your website, robertsteele.com.
No, robertdavidsteele.com.
robertdavidsteele.com. Somebody will put it in the links. Mark, if you could put it in the links, it's our technical division.
People who know tinyurl.com just go to Pedo Empire.
Okay.
That's the short URL. But under my encouragement, Joaquim has produced 34 chapters so far, with additional chapters to come. And each chapter documents pedophilia going back into time. This is not new. I mean, the Aztecs and the Mayans were sacrificing children and drinking their blood and so forth. And drinking...
Exactly. This is nothing new. A lot of people, they tend to just try to... This level of evil is just so great, right? A lot of people rather just not even deal with it, right? Because, come on now. We're talking about children and sacrifices and evil, ritualistic practices and things like that, right? A lot of people, their minds can't even wrap around something like that, right? They don't even want to, that is crazy, right? Can somebody be doing that? Well, it goes back, way back, just like he was saying here. And you have to understand, this practices is nothing new. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter. It says, let's just start at the first verse. For thine incorruptible spirit is in all things. Who is that? Well, the Heavenly Father, right? His incorruptible spirit is in all things. Everything living, everything non-living. Because through him, everything is. That's why his name is Yahweh, meaning he is, right? It says, therefore chastenest thou them by little and little that offend, and warnest them by putting them in remembrance wherein they have offended, that leaving their wickedness they may believe on thee, O Lord. For it is thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of the Holy Land. So the children of Israel, before they took over the land, right? They were old inhabitants, and they were doing exactly what this man here is trying to let you know, that these practices go way back. He mentioned the Aztecs and the Mayans and things like that. Well, it goes even further than that, right? Because now this is biblical times we're talking about here. It says, for it was whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices. You see that? So they were doing this in the land of Canaan. They were doing this in the where Israel is now, right? The Holy Land, that is the land of Israel. Disregard the people that are there now, because they're not the true biblical Israelites, right? But besides the case, this is what was being done in that land. So the Most High had to destroy those ones through the hands of our fathers. Who are our fathers? Well, our fathers who are Israelites. Before it was taken over, he had Moses, he had Joshua, he had, men like that, through their leadership, that land was taken over, and the people that they were in that land were destroyed. Why? Because of what they were doing. Whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children. You see? So they don't care. They sacrifice these children. Not only do they abuse them, they also sacrifice them. So, like I said, it all goes back to witchcraft. It all goes back to this wicked sacrifices. The the essays, the sex abuse and all of that is just a precursor to eventually those children being sacrificed. You have numerous times where whistleblowers, even those that were involved in this, come out and tell you what goes on in all of these things, right? Even where they hunt these children. They had to set them out in the wild and hunt them. This is, like it says, the merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh and the feasts of blood. You catch that? That is your adrenochrome, which he's trying to make that correlation with all this child sexual trafficking with this adrenal and the chrome and the things like that, right? And even the cannibalism of these children. Because all these things are being done. In your mind, you don't want to believe this, but it is happening. You see? Because a lot of people that just, they can't deal with something like that, right? Because their minds are not geared in that kind of way, which is perfectly understandable, but you cannot, with that, dismiss the fact that it's happening. It is really happening. You see? It says, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew. So they set up on the left-hand side, the priest, that's where you get your black pope and things like that. Even they wear the cloak. If you saw the movie Eyes Wide Shut, directed by Stanley Kubrick, that's exactly what he was going into in their movie, right? They have that thing going on. Even you had a father that was selling her child in that shop that Will Smith went to buy his costume to go to this place, right? So he was loosely tying, letting you know, Stanley Kubrick, that was the movie that got him killed. That right there, he said a lot. He said a lot in that movie, even though they took out like 30 minutes, I believe, of that movie because they just didn't want it out there. That's how crazy it was. You see? So this is what they do. Like if you see that priest in that, if you ever saw the Eyes Wide Shut, they show you that you see that priest and they surround the priest and he's the one giving out the orders and things like that, to the idolatrous crew, right? And the parents that kill their own hand sows destitute of help. So you have parents also that sacrifice their children, just like in Hollywood. You have these Hollywood actors that sacrifice their own children, right? Either they actually sacrifice them and unalive them, or they have them switch genders. That's part of that sacrifice, and mutilate them and chop them up and turn them perverse. You see? So parents are doing this to their own children. Time and time again, this Nickelodeon stars, they used to be Disney stars, they all go crazy. They all lose their effing minds. They used to be child actors, child stars, but along the line, they bug out. They just had the guy that's now living in the streets. That used to be one of these Disney child stars, right? It just, it's been going viral for a minute now. He's turned into a junkie living in the streets. He can't, can't even help him. That's how far gone he is. You see? And believe you me, their parents had a hand in all of this. Right? It says that the land which thou esteemest above all other might receive a worthy colony of the Most High's children. So this is what they were doing in the land, in the Holy Land, that got them destroyed. Right? Got them destroyed. So that the children of Israel can take it over and do righteously in the land. And then the children of Israel went into the land, I said, doing like the heathens. This is why they themselves were destroyed, right? And they were sent into captivity in various places in Babylon and in the modern day Babylon in America now, right? In various the Assyrian captivity and all of those captivities that they were sent to because of doing exactly what the heathens were doing. You see, and this is the kind of judgment that befell those that were doing it. It said, nevertheless, even those that thou sparest as men, and didst send wasps and forerunners of thine host to destroy them by little and little. Not that thou was unable to bring the ungodly under the hand of the righteous in battle, or to destroy them at once with cruel beasts, or with one rough word, right? Because the Most High can just say word and everything would just, but this is like it tells you that everything written in the scriptures were written for our learning. So Most High do things in a way that we will learn from it, right? He could just snap his finger and everything will all be right, but he doesn't do it like that. We have to learn. We are in a learning process. Because remember, back in the garden, when man sinned and they partook in that fruit of knowledge of good and evil, right? So now you're learning good and evil. You have to learn these things and to understand and come to the realization that evil is not good. You see? That's beautiful scripture. Let's put a little bit more of this.
Drinking a child's blood without torturing the child is a known anti-aging device. Peter Thiel is on record in the newspaper saying he gets a transfusion of child's blood every day.
Controversial new treatment that may hold promise, but at a price.
It does appear to reverse the aging process.
Dr. Jesse Karmazin is talking about transfusions with the young blood from teenagers, and he says it just may turn back the hands of time. That blood is going to patients over 35 as part of a clinical trial called Ambrosia, where subjects paid $8,000 to get the rich growth factors found in the platelets in blood's plasma.
There's pretty much people from most states, people from overseas, from Europe and Australia.
There have not been any published results, but the intriguing concept still found its way into pop culture.
It's my transfusion associate.
Dr. Karmazin says patients who have had it say they feel amazing, and he has seen evidence of reversing the aging process in rats.
Their brains are younger, hearts, their hair, if it was gray, just turns dark again.
There has also been encouraging Alzheimer's research using young blood at Stanford.
We found that it was safe and feasible to administer infusions of young plasma weekly.
Dr. Sharon Shaw is a researcher who says they have seen evidence of improvement in functional ability.
It's all very exciting that there can be components in blood that could be healing.
All right. Now, the question is...
And this brings a scripture to mind because letting you know how they use this blood to prolong their life, to reverse aging. That's why you see a lot of these celebrities, they be looking young. You be like, man, what the hell? Why are they looking this young, right? 1 minute they look bad and just like that they start to look young. If you ever saw the movie Death Becomes Her with Meryl Streep and Bruce Willis is in the movie with the other actress. I can't think of her name right now. Right? She was given that potion reversed her aging, right? So that's what they're saying here. Let's get a quick scripture on the book of Ecclesiastes, because the Bible covers every aspect of everything that happens on the world stage, right? There's nothing that happens in the world that is not covered in the scriptures. Like here, Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter, and the 12th verse, it says, though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, right? So they do these evil things and prolong their aging process by this blood that they do, right? This whole taking the young blood and putting into the elderly, and then they live younger and they look, like I was saying, like it says here, though a sinner doing evil 100 times and his days be prolonged. So that's how they do all these things. They use all these practices, this witchcraft, believe you me, that is witchcraft, to be able to take somebody's blood and put it inside of you and reverse your aging and make you look younger than you already are, right? So that's what the scripture is letting you know here. It says, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear the Most High, which fear before him. So here we have it. They do things to prolong their days, like it goes on to say, but it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days. So they can do all they got to do. When their time is up, they will die eventually, right? You had one of the Rockefellers. He did all kinds of heart surgeries to put it, they did everything to keep him alive, but eventually he still died. Because when your time is up, your time is up. So which are as a shadow, because he feared not the Most High, because he feared not before God. So that's what they do. They don't care about God. To them, they're trying to use their own means to live longer, to inherit the earth, to do all kinds of crazy stuff that they do, right? So that is it right there. Let's put a little bit more of this. I don't know why it's not playing now.
No.
Now, one of the main targets of the International Justice Tribunal
For some reason, it doesn't want to play now.
Now, one of the main...
Okay, I don't know why it doesn't want to play. Okay.